Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Iyun Shulchan Aruch. Today we're talking about Siman Memches, number 48. The Siman you've been waiting for, you've been dreaming about. Carbonus, right? All those people who don't say Carbonus. There is a Siman in Shulchan Aruch. Just like a Siman, the exact same amount. It's called a Siman also. There's a Siman about Birchas HaTorah and loving Torah, and there's a Siman about Carbonus. And it says you should say Carbonus, even B'tzibur. Sounds like the modern Orthodox people got it right. They have the whole, Psuki de Zimra. We'll get the Psuki de Zimra. Psuki de Zimra is next week. Simon and Aleph, Psuki de Zimra. We'll see how severe that is. In the Yeshiva Shul, they think Psuki de Zimra, the Kabbalah's forum say that if you didn't say Psuki de Zimra, you cut through Shamayim or something like that. If you don't say Psuki de Zimra, you haven't cut through Shamayim. Well, Carbonus is actually a Simon in Shulchan Aruch, and like I mentioned in the regular show, Hershel Schechter, famous. I don't know, maybe there are other posts going to say it's Doraisa. They say Parshas Talmud. Maybe some of the other Carbonus that we're mechuyev to bring on every day because, there are various Gemaras that mention that if you say the psukim of the Carbonus, it's like you brought the Carbonus. So you have the opportunity to bring a Carbon, right? There's a chiyuv when the base is around to bring a Carbon Talmud every day, right? And if you did an Aveira, you bring a Chatas or Asham, Ola, Shlamim, you can donate to the base of you do Aveira that you chayav and Ola. Shlamim, some things require a shlamim. So these parshios are chiyuvim. Carbon Talmud for sure you have to bring every day. So if you're obligated, if saying them is like bringing them, so why shouldn't we say them? And that's I think the reasoning why v'chiv the rice. That's not clear from the halacha over here, Mishnah Berurah, the Shulchan Aruch, whether it's a chiyuv mital rice or not to say. It's recommended to say whether it means you have to say it or not. Questionable. But there is a difference of opinion over here. Whether you have to understand what you're saying over here. What is this idea of reading the Carbonus, right? So one of the famous Gemara is Menachos. It's called Osek Parshas Ola. If you're Osek and Parshas Ola, it's like your makar of the Ola. The Gemara in Taina says that Gemara in Yuma says Abaye Hamasada said Maracha Abaye, who was an Amoru, who lived in the time of the Beis Hamikdash. We read this in one part of the Carbonus. He was Masada said Maracha. He would tell you the order of things that were done, how they're carried out normally, in order in the Beis Hamikdash every morning. The Gemara in Tainus says that you should be maskir the Carbonus, even the Beis Hamikdash is not around because it brings ratzon. So there's definitely indications in the Gemara that you should be saying these things. Now the question is, based on yesterday's shir about the mitzvah of Limud Torah, I wanted to say there's two mitzvahs of Limud Torah. There's a mitzvah of Limud Torah where you're understanding it, to understand the Torah. There's a mitzvah of Limud Torah, Kriyas HaTorah, it's mainly Torah Shebechtav, is to say the Torah, and that's really just not for the learning, for the understanding of the Torah. It's more just for giving kavod HaTorah, you would say, or giving more godless to the Torah. Basically just appreciating what we have. And it seems that machlokus is followed over here when it comes to Carbonus over here. Is the mitzvah of Carbonus like Kriyas HaTorah? It's just a mitzvah of Kriyas HaTorah. And you're supposed to say the psukim, like there's psukim that talk about Ola. And that's one of the things we say when in the Carbonus you say the Ola, you say the psukim of the Ola. Of course, it's Rabbi Shmuel at the end, but you say some of the psukim. A lot of Carbonus mention the psukim. Is the main part saying the psukim, or is the main part the understanding? So the Mishnah Berurah says, he brings very strongly over here. He says the whole thing is that you should understand it, right? And nearly Pasha the Mishnah Dei say from Mitzvah Lumot Gemara Pirish Hamem Hazu. V'chein Mashin Amrim Kim V'chol Yom Minyani Asi Yesaktoris. K'tei Shiavin Mashu Omer. You have to know what you're saying. Only when you understand it. Right? V'chein Kaz V'Asar. The Mashin Amrim Gemara closely with Parshas Ola. Kavana Shum is Asik Lahavin in Yona. Lo Mishnah Dei Lavat. You have to understand what you're saying, right? You have to understand what you're saying. So I think this is the prevalence, because the yeshivish world really, takes the Mishnah Berurah quite literally. So therefore, it's very long, Carbonus. We're not going to understand it. So just skip it, what I'm saying. You're not going to understand all these things. But the other sect and the main faction, Klal Yisrael, the modern Orthodox people, who I am definitely from the past, present, questionable. I would identify myself as Haredi. If you ask me what box I fit into, I guess I fit into a Haredi box, live in a Haredi community, married into a Haredi family. I try to keep the Hechsherim, the Haredim keep. So, even it's not so easy. I try to, OUD, I eat Chalab Stam, come on. Reese's Pizza, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, too good. In the store the other, I had to ask the owner here, the Makola, to get me a Reese's peanut butter cup. I love Reese's peanut butter cup. I had to ask the owner to get it, to order it. He has other things. They have like, they have like Snickers and maybe sometimes Twix, but they don't have Reese's peanut butter I really like, and he didn't understand what it was. In Israel, they don't know what these things are. I had to show it to him on the truck. The truck came. It had a big picture of the Reese's peanut butter cup. I said, "This is what I want." He finally ordered it, and literally, I bought a lot of the stuff. And the guy asked me, and I called it. He says, "Yeah, I got it all for you." He's showing me all the stuff. I said, "Listen, I already bought half your stuff." I ended up buying 3/4 of whatever he ordered, which is a lot of stuff. It's all finished now. All the inventory is finished. There was a lady there who saw me buying it. She's like, it's OUD. It's not Carbonus. I know. She's like, "Oh man, I used to love those things. But ever since I took Carbonus Israel, I can't have these things." I'm like, "Listen, just start eating it. You can do it." Moshe Feinstein says you can do it. It's okay. Listen, I don't think really. I honestly, my honest opinion, I really think Hakadosh Baruch Hu put things in this world to enjoy, and if that's the way it is, that we call it an OUD, and you have Moshe Feinstein says technically it's mutter, I think it's an affair not to eat it. To be honest with you, if you really enjoy it, if you don't enjoy it, you're an Israeli, you have no idea what the heck it is, so don't eat it. But if you really enjoy it and you remember it and you know it, you got to eat it. I mean, that's causing undue hardship to yourself. It's like a nazir, you're causing yourself sorry to bring a korban for causing yourself some mitzvah yourself. So that's my opinion. So, of course, you have Pringles, sour cream and onion. Those are really good. Anyway, getting back to what we're saying over here. So the modern Orthodox people, are very conscientious to say Carbonus, not so much Pesukah de Zimra, and they go very quickly to Pesukah de Zimra and the rest of the davening. But Carbonus is like a big thing over there, and they're saying Carbonus. I don't know how many people actually say it, but the Sibur is given time to say it, and that's like a known fact. So there, I would say they're treating it more like the mitzvah is a mitzvah of Kriyas HaTorah, and saying the Pesukim. When the Gemara says that mentioning the Carbonus and saying the Carbonus is like your makar of them, it doesn't mean that you understand that you're learning the Torah. It's not a Torah. It's not a Torah Sheba'al Peh. It's a Torah Sheba'al. You're glorifying. The way of remembering the Carbonus is to give kavod to the Carbonus. Because what does it help to understand? This is the other opinion, right? What does it help to understand it? I mean, we don't have the Carbonus nowadays. We don't have them, but to say the partials, so that way you're connecting back to the Quran. It's like your makar the Tzmidim. It's like your makar the Tzmidim by saying the Pesukim of the Tzmidim, and that's their interpretation of what the Gemara says, and that would be the basic thing. And here the Ramah does say, right, right? In the Sibur, when the Sibur says it, it's like you're reading the Torah. It's like Kriyas HaTorah almost, a Kriyas HaTorah before davening. That's what it is. The Kriyas HaTorah, it's not to understand them. It's nothing to do with understanding them. Right? The modern Orthodox people for sure don't understand what it's saying, but it doesn't make a difference. It's like Kriyas Torah. You don't have to understand the Torah, right? During the Parsha Shavuot, you don't understand the Torah. It's just to glorify the Torah, and that's the idea behind it. So there's two different opinions over here. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you tomorrow.